you would come up and take a seat in the front row. Uh-oh. How embarrassing. Embarrassing. I just need a little help. I don't know if you have ever been on a playground. I don't know, this happens. Have you ever been on a playground when somebody went, is this dated? I think, is this maybe just 1960s? Na, 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 na. Did that go out of fashion at some point? When somebody does that, it's usually someone's making fun of somebody else. Na, 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 na. It's not a nice kind of sound. There was a gentleman by the name of David Holt, great musician, Americana music, quite an authority on he's on banjo and Appalachian music and all kinds of things. And he was on a U.S. State Department tour in 1971 in Thailand. And you folks don't remember 1971. There was a war going on right next door to Thailand. And so David Holt had a young person who kind of guided him around Chiang Mai, Thailand. And he said, you know, we're really afraid that war that's going on in Vietnam is just going to spill right over the border and ruin all of our lives. But we have a story, this young person told David, he says, we have a story that we tell that gives us courage. And it's a story about a bird, and he didn't go na 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 na. He went, and this is where I needed help with na 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 na. Can anybody do? Let's sing that together. Na 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 na. There was a hunter out in the woods one day, and he heard that song. It sounded like a weird song to him. And he followed it to a tree in the middle of the forest. And he looked up, and there was a beautiful golden bird in the top of that tree. And it was singing. Na, na, na. No, it was singing. Na, 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 na. And he says, how come such a beautiful bird like you has such an ugly song? The hunter took out his bow and arrow, and he shot, and he missed. And the bird just sat there and looked down and said, na, 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 na. He took out another bow and he shot, and that one bird went, the arrow went right through the bird's heart. And he got a sack, ran over in time to catch the bird. He tied that sack, put it over his shoulder, and he started to go home. But a strange thing was happening as he was walking home. He thought he heard this muffled sound. He got home, he took the bird out of the bag, he put it on a cutting board, he plucked all the feathers off of it, and he went over to get some water, and while he was gone, he could hear behind him. He came back. What was that? He was starting to get a little angry now. So he took a knife and he chopped that bird up into 100 pieces. And he got some water that was to boil, and he put it all in the water. And while he waited for it to boil, he went away for a minute, and while he was away, he heard. So now he was getting really angry, and he got he dumped all the water out. He got that, and he got all the pieces of that bird, and he took it out to his yard, and he dug a deep hole, and he put all of the bird in the hole and filled it up, and he sat there for a minute, and he could hear it. No, 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 no. He dug up the hole. He got a wooden box. He put this in the wooden box, and he had it was kind of a nice ornamented box actually, and he got a rope and he tied it shut, and he went over to the river. I suppose in Thailand this might have been the Mekong River. And he And he put a rock, tied a rock on top of that, and he threw it out, and it went down and sank in the bottom of the river. And he stood on the shore, and he didn't hear anything. So he went on. Well, the currents of that river worked on that rope. Pretty soon the rope came loose, and the rock rolled off of the box, and the box floated up to the top of the river. And 3 days it floated down the river. And there were some children playing in a little bay area of that river, and they saw that pretty looking box coming down. What is that? They thought. And so they waded out, they got this box, and they brought it onto shore, and they opened it up, and 100 golden birds flew out of the box, and they were all singing. Sing with me. Na, 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 na. Well, a year to the day later, that hunter was back in the same forest with the same bow and arrow, looking around, and he thought he heard a strange, familiar sound, and he went to that same tree in the middle of the forest, and he looked up, and there were 100 golden birds. And they were all singing together, na, 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 na. And the hunter said, I know who you are. You are the freedom bird, and you cannot be killed. I think that's a good story for Easter, too, don't you think? The Easter bird. They cannot be killed. Thank you for listening to my story this morning. Kathy has some fun stuff for young people to do if they don't want to listen to the rest of my sermon.